Hey guys, I'm Stacy and welcome back to my channel. And before I get started, I just want to say that I've been getting really out of doing videos over books, and I kind of want to get back into that. I mean, this is kind of like a booktube channel, but like I don't have it strictly all of my videos are about books, but I do want to make sure that like let's just say 70% of my content is about books, and I haven't really been doing that, so I want to get back into making sure my videos are about books. Like I said, not every video is going to be about books, but I would like more of them to be than they are, so that's why I decided to do this video today. And I am doing the what is it like? I can't remember. It is called the 50 Bookish Questions book. No, I'm gonna. Where's the actual name for this? That doesn't sound dumb. I found one that doesn't sound dumb, and it is the 50 Bookish Question Tag, which I should have just came up with that on my own, but whatever. So that is what I will be doing today. Well, FYI, I briefly read through these questions. I didn't really think about them or write anything down, so this is just kind of off the top of my head. So the first question is, what was the last book you read? And the last book I read was Ensnared by A.G. Howard. Question number 2 is, was it a good one? And yes, I loved it. I cried at the end of it. What made it good? I have a comment real quick, and that's number 3, by the way. What if I thought it was bad? Then, like, I couldn't tell you what was good. But anyways, it was amazing, and it was just the whole story was amazing, but mostly because of my baby Morphosis. And I loved him, and I loved his character, and he made me cry at the end, and I just love him, and that's what made it so amazing. Question number 4 is, would you recommend it to other people? And yes, the whole trilogy I would recommend to other people. So yeah, it's the Splintered trilogy, and I would definitely read it if I were you guys, because it was an amazing experience. Number 5 is, how often do you read? I would like to say every day, except for like days that I have like homework and stuff. Like there's probably one day throughout the week I don't read, so like 6 out of 7 days a week. That's how much I read. Question number 6. Do you like to read? What the? Why is this on here? Who would be answering these questions if they didn't like reading? I'm still just trying to get over that this question was on. Question number 7 is what was the last bad book you read? Well, I'm gonna go on my Goodreads and see what I've been reading recently. I can think of some bad books I've read, but I want to make sure it's like the last bad book I read. Okay, now I have an answer for question 7, I think it was, and I thought this is what my answer was going to be, but I had to make sure, and it was A Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. Question number 8 is, what made you dislike it? And I mean, do I really need to explain? It's The Scarlet Letter. It's disrespectful and just boring, and yeah. There's not much I have to say about that book besides I hate it, and it's probably my least favorite book I've ever read in my whole life. Question number 9. Do you wish to be a writer? I haven't really thought about it that much. Like, I've thought about that I would want to be, but I'm not like a lot of booktubers are like already writing books or thinking about what it's going to be about, and I'm not to that point. I think it would be cool to do one day, but I am not at that point to be thinking about it yet. So, but I think it'd be cool to do one day, but it is like in the back of my mind. Number 10, has any book ever influenced you greatly? Well, obviously. Question number 11, do you read fan fiction? Not really. Question number 12, do you write fan fiction? No. Question number 14, what's your least favorite book? Well, I just said that a few minutes ago. The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. 15. Do you prefer physical books or on a device like a Kindle? I definitely would choose a physical book. I've read a couple books like on my phone, and yeah, it's okay. I listen to audiobooks on my phone, but still, hands down, physical book always will pick a physical book over any kind of electronic book. 16. When did you learn to read? Probably like first or second grade. I don't know. It was first grade. It was first grade because we had to read long passage things in a certain amount of time. I remember that. And I mean, I started kind of learning how to read certain words in kindergarten, but I actually learned how to read like sentences and paragraphs in first grade. Question 17. What is your favorite book you had to read in school? Last year, this might not be my very favorite, but I just kind of thought of it and I cried over it, which means it was a good book and I was pretty attached to the characters. Last year I read the book Freak the Mighty. I have no idea who that's by, but yeah, I cried over it and it was pretty good, so I'm gonna pick that one. Number 18. What is your favorite book series? And if you don't know this, welcome to my channel because you obviously haven't been here very long. My favorite series is The School for Good and Evil by Soman Shinami. Question number 19. Who is your favorite author? This is a really hard question, but going with my last answer, I'm just going to say Soman Shinami since he wrote my favorite series. Question 20. What is your favorite genre? Probably let's just go with fantasy, because that's, I feel like, what I read mostly. And I also read like YA, contemporary, but fantasy is probably my favorite. 21. Who is your favorite character in a book series? Ooh, this is hard. I could go through every book I've read and tell you what my favorite character is. I feel like I'm going to talk about the same books over and over again in this video, honestly. I have to have an answer for number 21, and I'm going to go with answers that are typical me. And first off, let's talk about the Splintered series. I already talked about this series, but obviously Morphosis, I'm like thinking about him all the time right now, so that's the first thing that came to mind. And also, let's go back for The School for Good and Evil, because like favorite series of all time, and my favorite character from that is Hort, so let's go with those two for this. Guys, you're going to hear a lot about The School for Good and Evil in this video, and a lot about Splintered, because those two books are on my mind right now. Morphosis is really on my mind right now. 22. Has a book ever transported you somewhere? Well, obviously, I think if it didn't have that experience on me, I probably wouldn't be a reader. Number 23. Which book do you wish you had a sequel? I'm gonna go with, I gotta think about this for a minute. For question 23, I'm gonna go with The Land of Stories, The Wishing Spell by Chris Colfer. I read this like in like February and I really enjoyed it and I rated it 5 stars, but I have not got any of the rest of the books to this series, and I mean, I want more than just a sequel. I want the whole series, and I haven't gotten around to it. And if I wait much longer, I'm probably going to have to reread this so I know what's going on. And I really enjoyed it, but I just haven't got around to getting the sequel or any of the other books. But I would like to do that eventually. Question 24 is, which book do you wish you didn't have a sequel to? And no one's going to know this book because it's not popular, but it's called The Journey. And it's by Catherine Luss. I don't know. I didn't know what I was going to pick for this one, and I just looked at my shelf and I found this, and it's a second book. And when I was younger, I read the first book in like 6th grade, and I had ordered the two together, and I absolutely hated the first book like so much, and for some reason this still sits on my shelf. I don't even have the first book, but for some reason this is on my shelf. I've never read it. I'm never going to read it because I absolutely hated the first book. Question 25. How long does it take you to read a book? This really depends on a lot of things. For one thing, I normally read, not normally, like half the time I'm reading more than one book at a time. Depends on how much stuff I have going on. It depends on how long the book is. Let's just say on average, for like a normal sized book, if I'm just reading that book, it's probably going to take me like 3 to 4 days to a week, depending on how busy I am. If I don't have a lot going on, it will probably take me a few days. If I have like a ton of homework and I'm going to school and it's like during the week, it's probably going to take me more like a week to finish it. I don't know, that's a really hard question for me to answer, but yeah, let's go with that. Like 3 to 4 days a week. Question 26. Do you like when books become movies? Typically I get excited about it. It doesn't always turn out the way I want it to, but I mean, I'm always excited when I hear a book I read is becoming a movie, and I typically want to go see it. 27. Which book was ruined by its movie Wow, I can't even say this word, and I should be smarter than this. I'm doing a video about books and I can't even pronounce the words. Adabanation. I don't know, I can't say it. Basically, 27 is asking, what movie do I think like was not good for the book, because the book was way better and it didn't like work the movie. And this actually is not a movie, it's a series, and I actually watched the series before I read the book, but I'm gonna go 13 reasons why, because I watched the series and it was really good, but then I read the book and I'm like, how do these two things even go together? They are so different. People who read the book before watching the series were probably so mad, and my heart goes out to those people. So yeah, let's go with that, because that's what I'm thinking of right now. You can totally tell that I watched the show first, because my copy of the book is like characters from the movie, because I bought it at, well, TV show, because I bought it after I watched the TV show, and I'm actually kind of ashamed. And just for those of you who don't know, it is by J. Asher, in case anybody's thinking of reading this. The book was pretty good actually, but the show was too, but they just did not go together at all. Like, they were just the same names in the same situation, but like, she killed herself and that was about the only similarities. Like, every situation was different. I need to stop talking about this. Just Question 28. Which movie has done a book justice? And this is the first book I thought of, and that's what I'm going with, because I was so happy with this. Everything by Nicola Young. And I went and saw the movie the very first day it came out. And FYI, for anybody who cares, a little backstory of my life. This was me and Michael's very first date. I had him take me to this, and I thought it was like really similar to the book. Everything happened like similar to the book. There's a few changes obviously, but like, it wasn't that big of a deal to me, and I thought it actually did this book justice because it was really similar and the movie was really good. And yeah, I was actually pretty proud of that. And then I was happy I didn't get mad on our first date about the book, the movie not being the same as the book. I was actually really pleasantly surprised when I went and saw this. Question 29. Do you read newspapers? No. Question 30. Do you read magazines? When I was like 12, I read like Discovery Girl and like stuff like that, but now I don't really read magazines anymore, but I used to some when I was younger, to be honest. So when I read magazines, it was so I could answer the little questions and find out like, what kind of friend are you? What does your crush like about you? Like, that's the only reason I read magazines when I was 10. Question 31. Do you prefer newspapers or magazines? I don't really like either of them now at this point in my life, but if I was gonna read one, I would prefer to read a magazine over a newspaper. Do you read while you're in bed? Yeah, all the time. Question 33. Do you read while on the toilet? This seems like a personal question. I mean, I have a few times, but I don't normally often because I'm not there long enough to actually read that much. So, but if I am really enjoying a book, sometimes I'll like walk to the bathroom while holding it and kind of read it while I'm going to the bathroom too. Question 34. Do you read while in the car? Typically not, because it'll give me a headache and stuff, and now that I'm in driver's ed, most of the time where I'm going, I'm driving, so it would be really bad if I was reading, so no, not very often. Question 35. Do you read while in the bath? Well, I take showers. I haven't taken a bath in like 6 years, so I would hope not. Question 36. Are you a fast reader? This is a complicated question for me because like when I'm around people, I'm not around people who read, and they're like, oh my gosh, you're such a fast reader. How do you read that much? But I feel like compared to people who actually read books all the time would be like, why is it taking you so long to read this one chapter? You're so slow. Speed up your pace. Question 37. Are you a slow reader? Hold up. Those questions are kind of the same thing. Are you running out of questions to ask? That really annoys me. I'm not even going to answer that because I just explained if I'm a slow or fast reader. Why are you asking me like the same question again? Question 38. Where is your favorite place to read? Probably on my bed, possibly on my couch. Those are like my two go-to places. 39. Is it hard for you to concentrate while reading? Not really, especially if it's a good book. I'm like really into it. I guess if I'm reading something that's not really interesting me, I have a hard time concentrating. Also, if I have like some other huge thing going on in my life that's stressing me, I'll have a harder time concentrating, but once I like get myself into it and read a few pages, then I don't anymore. Question 40. Do you need a room to be silent while you read? I don't need it to be silent. I prefer it to be as quiet as possible, but I have read in classrooms that are really loud. I normally end up with a headache, but I can do it. And I mean, sometimes if a room's too silent, that's annoying too. I don't know. Most of the time, once I get into it, I don't really realize my surroundings, but I would prefer it to be more silent while I'm reading. 41. Who gave you your love for reading? This is probably my favorite question out of all of them. This is kind of a complicated, this is kind of like, it took a few people, I guess. In 7th grade is probably around the first time I got like a real love for reading. I did somewhat when I was younger. I would read a series and be like, "Ooh, that was good," but then I didn't really enjoy it in elementary a ton, but I would read occasionally. My mom kind of made me read in elementary sometimes, and I'd be like, no, I don't want to. But then when I read, it wasn't that bad, but like it wasn't my favorite thing to do or anything. Then in 7th grade, I had a teacher, and she had this like reading day where we all like sat around with like blankets and read. And after that, like my whole grade started reading like a lot more. I don't know. I think she like brainwashed us because all of a sudden everybody was like reading, and I read a lot then. And then after that, it kind of slowed down again. I didn't read as much, but I did have a new like appreciation, and I enjoyed it when I did it. It's just I didn't do it that often. And then my freshman year, I had a English teacher, and he had us do this thing where we had to pick out a banned book and read it and do a report over it, and I like had the most boring book ever. It was, well, I think in most people's opinions, it was Slaughterhouse-Five, and I can't even think of who it was by. I for some reason fell in love with this book, and I don't even know if it's that book. It was just, I was at a new school, and like I fell in love with the fact that I had a place to go when I didn't really have anybody to talk to and something to entertain me, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to keep doing this. I want to read another book, and I was like, then I want to read another book. So that was like my really like when I really blossomed into loving reading. 42. What book is next on your list to read? And I realized I kind of lied about one of the questions. Let me explain. So this book, it is Untamed, and it kind of has like 3 books in it. I looked it up. They actually aren't considered short stories. They're actually considered small books, so they are considered each individual book. And the last book I read was actually one of the books in here because I just finished it today, and it's The Boy in the Web. So that was actually my last book to read, not Instarred, but whatever. I didn't even think about that. And the book I'm reading next, because I just finished it today and I'm ready to start the next book in this, and it is The Moth in the Mirror. Question 43. When did you start to read chapter books? I don't know, like 3rd or 4th grade. I don't really remember. 44. Who is your favorite children's book author? Who wrote Junie B. Jones books?
Junie B. Jones was written by Barbara Park.
That's my favorite child author because that's the books I read as a child. And also R.L. Stine, who wrote Goosebumps. Those was what I read as a child. So those are my 2 favorite. Question 45. Which author would you want to interview? I am going to go with Paige McKenzie, who wrote the Sunshine Trilogy, and this is the 2nd book because I don't own the 1st book. And this is because I really love her books for one thing, and plus she wasn't really an author. She more was just an actress, and then they wanted her to write the books for the TV show she's in. I'm pretty sure that information is true, but correct me if I'm wrong, but don't be mean about it. But anyways, so that's why I would want to interview her, because I think it would be interesting to see how she transitioned from not being an author and all of a sudden getting paid to write a book, and how she still made these books amazing. Question 46. What author do you think you would be friends with? And I'm going to bring them up for the 10th time in this video, but who cares, because this is the series for me. And the author is Someone Shinami, and I realize I haven't showed you guys a copy of the book, and I've talked about it like 10 times. But I would want to be his friend, and you all are probably like, oh, it's because he wrote your favorite series. But that is not the only reason why. We have so many things in common. For one thing, I mean, he likes books and stuff, but all authors do. But he plays tennis, and I also play tennis. Tennis. Yeah, he plays tennis, so that's a huge plus for me why I'd want to be his friend. But also, his 7th grade teacher inspired him to read, and like I said, I have that similar experience. And there's like other stuff too that he posts, and like he likes the same type of dog as me because he has a dog and it kind of looks like an English bulldog, and that's like my family's thing. We love English bulldogs. I don't know if he has an English bulldog, but it looks like an English bulldog, so we like our dogs to look the same. There's just a lot of similarities there, and I feel like not only could we talk about his books, but we could talk about stuff like tennis, and we would have tons of fun together. I don't know how long I've had this book. I've had it since 7th grade, and it's starting to get really beat up, but I'll never get rid of it. 47. What book have you reread the most? The School for Good and Evil. Sorry, that's my answer to like half of these questions. Books do you consider classics? I don't know. This is so hard because there's like a ton of classic books. I don't know. It's like stupid. I mean, most of them I don't enjoy, like, you know, like The Scarlet Letter, but I don't know, books like that. Question 49. Which books do you think should be taught in every school? I don't necessarily think there's a certain book that should be taught. I think it should be, for one thing, the teacher's preference of what she enjoys and wants to teach. I also think that sometimes students should get a pick in what they're reading too, because it should be their preference and what they want to read. So I don't think there should be like a certain rule that you have to learn this book. Maybe, I mean, we should like Romeo and Juliet, and that could also go in the classics section, but I mean, I think it's good to kind of touch on those books because it is like common books like the Scarlet Letter stuff that is going to be talked about because they are such classic books. But I also think that in schools they should try and encourage fun books that like students are actually going to enjoy because it's going to make them want to read more. So yeah, I don't really have a strong opinion on that question. Question 50. We finally made our way to 50, and I'm like really warm. Like sitting here and talking to a camera kind of makes me nervous sometimes. And I went through all these questions to get to question 50, and this is question 50. Which books should be banned from all schools? None. No book should be banned from schools. A banned book was actually what got me into reading so much. Slaughterhouse-Five. Books should not be banned from schools. No. Alright guys, that is it for this video, and I just want to say really quick, I've been saying for a really long time I'd be doing this video where I put makeup on Michael because my video of the Rice Krispie got to 100 views. But we have not gotten around to it, and right now he's actually in a lot of pain because he just got his wisdom teeth out, so that's definitely not happening this weekend. Maybe next weekend, maybe on Thanksgiving break, I don't know, but it should be coming soon. But anyways, I'll see you guys next time. I hope you guys enjoyed learning some bookish things about me, and I will try and make more videos about books because I feel like I haven't been doing a great job of that. But anyways, let me know if you guys have any suggestions for videos you'd like to see, especially videos about books, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!